All praise El Shaddai, Elohim, Yahuwah, Hamashiach. Welcome to One Deity. Let's get right into it. Topic of today, subject matter of today, and lesson of today is our dreadlocks and braided hair and the history behind them. Our dreadlocks and braided hair, the history behind them. Should we cut them or brace them? So our dreadlocks, long hair, braided hair, the history behind them, and should we cut them or brace them? First and foremost, I'm going to start by saying this. We are no longer calling dreadlocks dreadlocks. They are not dreadlocks. They are not dreadful, but they are power locks. They are powerful. They are strength locks. They are strengthful. Hence, we are now calling dreadlocks power locks. Power locks, power locks, power locks, or strength locks. They are our strength locks. They are our power locks. And we are now using them terms to identify our long, twisted, knotted, or twisted hair. Locks is a natural hairstyle. Power locks are a natural hairstyle that have been worn across several civilizations and ancient civilizations, such as the Minoan civilization back during the Bronze Age, and also the ancient Egyptian civilization. The ancient Egyptians was known to rock dreads, braids, or natural long hairstyles that were depicted in their drawings, pictures, and even some of their mummies. At some of the burial sites, the mummies or they dead were found to have power locks, dreadlock wigs, dating back to ancient Egyptian time. So, even the Egyptians rock these long hairstyles. So they've been around for quite a while, right? These hairstyles. Story has it, or according to the myth, there were British colonialism powers, right? So there were British colonial powers who were fighting Kenyan warriors during Africa colonialism time in the late 19th century. When they came across these warriors, these Kenyan warriors, the British powers was trying to colonialize. Was when they came across these warriors, they found their dreads, their locks, their power locks, their strength locks to be dreadful. Hence, or coining the term dreadlocks. Right? So, these warriors that they was going up against was rocking these locks. They was rocking these power locks, these strength locks. And they found them to be dreadful. And they named them dreadlocks. Now, obviously, I wasn't there during this time, either you or I. But this story seems most likely to happen. And I believe this is the true story, or the true naming, or the coining of the term dreadlocks. I believe this is the true origin of the term dreadlocks. And even if it's not, to name something dreadful, dreadful is not a good term to name something, right? Let's actually go into the dictionary to see what the term dreadful means. And I'm doing it by book today. I don't feel like dealing with the internet. Sometimes you want to be, you want to be old school with it and go to the source. So I'm actually going to the source today to identify the term dreadful. And we're going to do it. I thought I had it already ready. Yeah, here we go. All right. So, dreadful, adjectives, right? It means extreme. And this, hold on. This is the Tormount Webster Illustrated Encyclopedia Dictionary. That's what this is. Published by Tormount Publication. This is where I'm actually getting the information from. So, let's go for dreadful and see what we get, right? So, dreadful, adjective, extremely unpleasant, distasteful, or shocking. So, dreadful, they found it to be extremely unpleasant, distasteful, or shocking. In a second sense, informal, used as an intensive, right? So, a dreadful rush, used in the form of being intensive, right? In a third sense, inspiring dread, terrible. So, dreadfully, dreadfulness is a noun or adjective. Dreadfully is adjective. Dreadfulness is a noun, right? They actually got dreadlocks too. Let's get the definition for dreadlocks also. A matted, mane-like hairstyle consisting of numerous twisted and waxed strands, characteristically worn by Rastafarian men. Let's read that again. A matted, mane-like hairstyle consisting of numerous twisted and waxed strands, characteristically worn by Rastafarian men. I want you to take note of that. In the Tormount Webster Dictionary, they define it dreadlocks as being characteristically worn by Rastafarian men. So I want you to take note of that, right, for later. Get back to the dreadful definition, but extremely unpleasant. So to be dreadful, to be extremely unpleasant, distasteful, or shocking, right? That's the definition of dreadful. So, in their mindset, in a Eurocentric mindset or Eurocentric view of things, they view these dreads to be these locks, these power locks, to be dreadful, right? And I feel this was most likely the naming behind the term dreadlocks. Okay. Now, from a biblical, scriptural, or Yisrael perspective, dreads or power locks and long hairs was sacred and assimilated or associated with the Nazarite tradition or Nazarite culture, or to be a Nazarite, right? So, let me say that again. From a biblical, scriptural, or Yisrael perspective, dreads and long hair, dreads or power locks, was sacred and associated with being a Nazarite. What is a Nazarite? For those who don't know, a Nazarite was a person who made a vow or promise and set themselves apart to be of Yah, right? They vowed to be set apart and to be of Yah. So they set themselves apart to walk in Yah ways, and they were set apart from the rest of everybody, right? And a Nazarite vow itself is a promise or oath. You take a vow, you know how you take your wedding vows, or some careers have vows and oaths people have to take. So it's basically a promise on an oath. So to be a Nazarite vow is to be set apart from Yah. You take this vow and this promise that comes with stipulations and abstraining yourself from certain actions, right? So a Nazarite vow is to be abstained, or a part of the Nazarite vow was to be abstained from consuming alcohol, shaving your hair, or even using a razor on your hair whatsoever. So part of becoming a Nazarite, you wasn't allowed to shave your hair. You wasn't allowed to consume alcohol, consume anything with grapes in it, or you wasn't allowed to do that. You wasn't allowed to shave your hair. You had to rock out. You had to rock your long hair. You had to rock your power locks. You wasn't allowed to shave it, not allowed to groom it. You were set apart. And back in ancient time, they would know who was Nazarites by just looking to see, this person was set apart for Yah, and you could have committed to this yourself. You could have made a vow to Yah yourself, or you could have been set apart from birth. Your parents, your mother, or your father could have set you apart to Yah. And if you look in the story, there are plenty. You look in the scriptures, there are plenty of stories where parents set their descendants and set their heirs apart from birth, right? So again, a Nazarite vow is to be abstained, or Nazarite is to be abstained for consuming alcohol, shaving your hair, or even using a razor on your head whatsoever. The laws and doctrine of this Nazarite vow could be found in the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 121. Again, you can find the doctrines and the stipulations and the laws of becoming a Nazarite and what all that means. You can find it in the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 1 through 21. Also, if I want to remind you or take you to the story of Samson and the power his locks gave him. Samson was set apart to be a Nazarite, right? And there was Samson and Samuel. Both of them was Nazarites, I believe, because Hannah dropped Samuel off to Eli, the high priest, and set him apart from birth, right? That was Samuel, but then you have Samson. He was a different Nazarite than Samuel. He was, a great warrior, intenseful warrior, powerful warrior, gifted with strength and power from Yah. That was unbearable, unprecedented power. Samson had, he was set apart from Yah. And I mean, he was just, he was a Nazarite. He never shaved his hair. He was just powerful. He would when he went up against the Philistines, and I believe the Amalekites too. Not too sure on that part. But when he went against the Philistines and a lot of his enemies, he was very, he was very powerful, and he could take and delete numerous amount of enemies by his bare hands too. He was just that powerful. He was that powerful of a warrior, and his enemies, they couldn't even fathom or couldn't even understand why he was so powerful and what was the secret behind his strength, why he was just powerful. And the secret was actually in the secret was in his hair. It was in his locks, it was in his braids, it was in his power locks. And nobody knew that but him. And he was dating his wife, who was from a different nationality, different background, different ethnic background, different race. And she was the one who actually betrayed him and told his enemies. His actually wife told his enemies. She was from a different background, but told his enemies what was the secret behind his strength. And it actually took her some times, because he would give her stories and make up stories just to throw off. He wasn't letting her know, but he actually gave into it, and they actually found out what was the strength behind his what was the secret behind his strength. And she actually invited people into the house, and his enemies came to the house while he was sleeping and actually cut his hair. And in cutting his hair, he lost his power, and they was able to infiltrate and take him captive, right? Yeah, he was very powerful, and his strength was in his hairs, right? Dreads had been associated with many groups in history, especially the Rastafarian peoples. right? So dreads have been associated with many groups in history, but especially we have known our Rastafarians, or those we are called Rasta, those of, we would call Jamaica descents, some called descendants from the Ashanti tribe, or from the island of Jamaica. We have this Rastafarian culture, so-called Rastafarian culture, and what is actually interesting and important and essential is the Rastafarian people, and their belief and their faith and their system, right? Which is actually rooted in Israelite culture, right? So dig that. Their belief and their systems are actually closely akin and closely similar and actually rooted in Israelite culture. They're exactly the same thing. If you go take a look at their belief and their systems and what they actually believe in, they're actually the same thing. So Rastafarian culture, Rastafarian traditions and beliefs actually is rooted and comes from Israelite culture. They believe in one deity. They believe in an Almighty El Shaddai Elohim. They believe in His laws, statutes, and commandments. They believe in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, and their power locks is actually symbolic and of their beliefs, and they believe it to be holy, to be set apart, and hence why they grow their power locks down. A lot of Rasta grow their power locks down. So-called Rastafarians, but they so-called, following the belief and systems of Haile Selassie, king and emperor of Ethiopia, once king and emperor of Ethiopia, and also a descendant of King Solomon. And I believe wholly and strongly that he was indeed a descendant of King Solomon, fulfilling the Most High prophecy and word that there will always be a lamp and from the house of David, from the house of Solomon, fulfilling the Most High prophecy. And hence the fact that Ethiopia was never conquered, never colonialized. Like Bug should go off on that. But yeah. So Rastafarian culture and Israelite culture is one and the same. Right? Right. Okay. Going back to the story of the dreadful warriors from Kenya. Remember, this term came from the Kenya warriors, and they found their hair and their power locks to be dreadful, right? Hence giving them the term dreadful. The European feared the locks. Through a Eurocentric eyes or mindset, people are intimidated of locks and see them as a threat. So, this is where this stereotype come from. This is where it is rooted in the eyes of a Eurocentric, a Euro supremacy, white supremacy mind. They find the locks to be intimidating. They find them to be a threat. I wonder why though. I wonder why they find the locks to be a threat. Is it because the fear of Samson was passed down through their generations, through their people? Could be. If you was an enemy to Samson, right? Or it would be a threat, right? If you were an enemy to Samson. So yes, indeed, it would be a threat if you was an enemy to Samson. It would be a threat also if there was a group of people, if one group of people loving themselves and loving their natural hair and loving their natural ways was detrimental to your supremacy or false sense of it. Let me say that again. It would be a threat If one group of people loving their self and loving their natural hair, their natural look and natural ways was detrimental to your supremacy and false sense of it. So, in all actuality, what that is saying is it's actually dreadful to them for you to love yourself. Why is you wearing your power locks, so-called dreadlocks, your long hair, is dreadful to them? Why would it be dreadful to them? Why would it be unbearable to them? Because it's dreadful to them for you to love yourself and to love your hair and to let your hair naturally grow the way the Most High made your hair. So it's actually dreadful to them for you to love yourself. Wow. That's just saying a lot. It would be a threat also if one only knew the power they receive from actually rocking, loving, and accepting their natural self and not conforming to satisfy Eurocentric mindset, Eurocentric ideas, or their fears or sense of uneasiness or society norms. Let's say that again. It would be a threat if only one knew the power they receive from actually rocking, loving, and accepting their natural self and not conforming to satisfy Eurocentric fears, their uneasiness, or society norms. It's actually powerful to you to love your natural hair, to love your natural self. It's power in that. It's power in loving yourself. It's power in loving your hair. It's powerful in loving yourself the way the Most High Yah made you. That is in itself is powerful, right? That's just saying a lot. It's dreadful for you to love yourself. It's dreadful for you to wear your power locks. They are dreadful in a Eurocentric mindset. Okay. We have actually been programmed. I want you to listen to this because this is important. It's not that our power locks are dreadful, right? To us. In reality, that's not what it is. We have actually been programmed and propaganded to think that our hair is problematic. I'm going to say that 3 times. For the second time, we have actually been programmed and propaganded to think our hair is problematic. Again, we have actually been programmed and propaganded to think our hair is problematic. In all reality, it's not that our hair is problematic. It's just a Eurocentric mindset and a way of thinking. To them, your hair is problematic. But in our culture, in our tradition, our power locks was looked at, so-called dreadlocks, look at as powerful. Those who wear their hair were set apart to Yah. They were holy to not cut their hair, to wear their hair long, to wear their hair natural. It was holy, it was sacred. In Eurocentric mindset, it would be dreadful to them because they don't benefit off you. White supremacy don't benefit off you loving yourself. They benefit off you doing the exact opposite. So, of course, it would be dreadful to them. And, of course, we have been actually programmed and propagated to think our hair is problematic. Okay. So, in all actuality, there was a systematic oppression of our natural hair. There was a systematic oppression of our natural hair. During the Black Power movements in the 60s and the 70s, when hairstyles such as the Afro became a political statement. We all remember the Afros in the 70s that used to rock in the Black Power movement. Symbolic, our Afros and the fist and the closed fist and the clutch of the fist was symbolic for Black empowerment. It was a sense of empowerment, a form of empowering ourselves to fight against, you know, the oppressive and discriminatory systems that were set in place, the racist system that was set in place. So we clutch our fists and we wear our afros and grow our hair out. That was a form of loving ourselves. And again, it was dreadful to them. Okay, during the Black Power movement in the 60s and 70s, when hairstyles such as the afro became a political statement, hair discrimination became systematic through grooming policies. Let me say that again. Hair discrimination became systematic through grooming policy enforced in schools, workplace, and the military. So not only did they find your hair to be dreadful itself, but they put in place actually hair discrimination policies, grooming policies that made you cut your hair. If you wanted to go to certain schools or accepted at certain workplaces and be able to earn a living or even a military positions, there was grooming policies they put in place. So actually go back to me saying to the statement that I made that this discrimination was it was programmed, right? It was programmed and propagated for you to we have been programmed and propagated to think our hair was problematic, right? It's not that our hair was problematic. We were programmed and propagated to think that our hair was problematic. And not only that, they took actions to make sure that we would discriminate against ourselves, right? And that we would actually, they had grooming policies to put in place so we would actually cut our hair. So is it, in reality, our long hair, our power locks, or our braids, or our long hair are problematic, or was we programmed to think that our hair was problematic, right? Good question. So just to summarize all that I have said, and to just get the meat of it, right? Our power locks are not dreadful. In fact, they are not called dreadlocks no more. They are called power locks or strength locks. I will accept strength locks or power locks. I will from now on call them power locks or strength locks. And as you can see, I'm in some kind of journey myself, and this is actually my second journey at the long hair. And as you can see, I'm rocking it and I'm loving it, right? And it look good. The power locks, right? They are powerful, and it's power in loving yourself, and it's empowered in loving your natural hair. It's empowered in loving your natural self the way the Most High made you. Yes, indeed, it's power, and it's empowering to love your natural self and to love your natural hair. And it's empowering to love your power locks. And they are not dreadful, but they are indeed powerful and strengthful and were by great warriors like Samson himself. Great warriors like Samson himself. So, if we are imitating Samson, we are imitating power and warriorship and sense of strength. And, we just have to re-educate ourselves when it comes down to some of these names and labels and stigmas and stereotypes that was put on us. So in all actuality, you have to think when you are thinking that your long hair is not pleasant to look at, is not powerful, is not strength, is not beautiful. You are actually adopting a Eurocentric mindset when you are taking that approach. That society won't like it or society won't accept it. You are taking a Eurocentric mindset when you are doing that, and we're not doing that no more. Our power locks are powerful. They are greatness. they are holy, they are sacred, and they are set apart. And to be honest, I feel so much better with a hair full of head than a shaved head. From my experience, I used to be clean cut guy, and I used to rock the clean cut proudly and look good doing it. But it was just, I did feel a sense of nakedness that comes from, rocking that clean cut that I don't feel when having my full hair of head on. And I do feel much more powerful with my locks in my hair. So we are embracing that, and we are embracing our power locks, and our strength locks is definitely what we are rocking, and definitely what we're going to do. And we're going to stand tall and stand firm to society or Eurocentric mindset. So anybody doubting us or discriminating against us. With all that being said, I just want to wrap it up. Remember, your dreadlocks are not called dreadlocks no more. They are power locks. They are indeed powerful, and you should indeed love yourself and love your natural hair and love your natural ways. I also want to send out my love and prayers to anybody going through anything, or anybody searching for truth, searching for light, searching for the Father. He is here for you. All you do gotta seek, and you shall find. I want to send out my love, support, the prayers to everybody, and remember, your power locks are powerful, and to love yourself. With all that being said, all praise El Shaddai, Elohim, Yahuwah, HaMashiach. All praise and all glory go to the Father. And with that being said, I'm out of here. Shalom. Peace.